In this series, we're going to be modeling this pen, a drawing tablet, and rendering it and animating it. So let's get started with the pen itself. So in Blender, I'm going to add a cylinder. I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to disable the matte caps. I don't know why the fuck it's on. And I'm going to scale on the y-axis to get the overall shape. And I'm going to scale and shift Z, or I'm going to scale on everything except the y-axis. So S, shift Y, just so we can get the thickness right. And I'm also going to scale it more on the y-axis to something like this. Now I'm going to go to right view. I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to select with X-ray mode or selected. I'm going to select these vertices. I'm going to add a loop cut here first. I'm going to select these vertices and rotate it like this. Now I'm also going to rotate this the same way. Now I'm going to select this face. I'm going to insert it. I'm going to extrude it. Then I'm going to insert it again. And I'm going to delete faces. Select these vertices, face, and grid fill. Now I'm going to add a loop cut here, a loop cut here, and a loop cut here, just so it smoothens out correctly. Now here I'm going to add a bevel, extrude, then scale inside. We're also going to add a loop cut here, a loop cut here, and a loop cut here, and also supporting loop cuts here. Now for the front part, I need to also make this shorter, so I'm gonna move it to somewhere like here. Then I'm gonna delete this face, select these edges, extrude, scale them in, something like this. We need to make this taller, so I'm gonna move it like this. That should be roughly correct. So I'm gonna select these edges, scale them down like this. Then I'm gonna extrude, scale in, extrude, scale back, or sorry, extrude back, extrude, scale, and face grid fill. Gonna add the loop cut here, bevel it. Gonna do the same thing here, and I'm gonna do the same thing here. Now for the actual pin tip, we could select these edges, Shift D, P selection, and with the new object selected, we could just extrude it out like this. We could scale it in, and I also move it back, and move this entire object to the front, just like this. And we're gonna select these, to the inner edges, delete the faces here also. And with these selected, I'm gonna fill them, or we could just do face and grid fill, just like this. Now shade auto smooth, gonna add a supporting loop cut here, go back here, and add the subdivision here. And now we have the entire pen done. We just need to add the buttons, and we're gonna be all done with the pen itself. So for the buttons, I'm gonna go to top view. We're gonna add 4 loop cuts. I'm going to select these 3 vertices. Then I'm gonna move them like this. And I'm gonna select these 3 vertices and move them like this. Now I'm gonna select these 3 faces and these 3 faces. And I'm gonna extrude them down. Then add a loop cut here, add a loop cut here. Do the same thing here. Now I've created the foundation for the pen, the buttons. I'm gonna select these faces. Shift D, P selection, select the objects A and extrude up, just like this. Now we can shade auto smooth and the buttons are done, just like that. Now we could do some slight adjustments, but this looks really good. Now for the materials, let's first unwrap this. So I'm gonna add a seam here, so select these, mark as seam, and we can leave everything as it is, and go back here, mark as seam. Now we want to add the cut itself to the bottom, because that's the part that's not gonna be seen. So I'm gonna select this loop cut, or this edge, and I'm gonna have the cut going through here. All the way to this seam and mark as seam. Now I'm gonna apply the rotation and scale. I'm gonna UV unwrap this and search in Blender Kit just any plastic or metal material. I'm gonna go with this one. Let's see how it looks. That looks absolutely great. Now for the buttons, I am going to also unwrap them. So I'm gonna add a loop cut here first, bevel it, do the same thing here just to make the button a bit sharp. I'm going to create a cut in the middle, add a loop cut here, mark seam, and select these until here, and mark seam, UV unwrap, apply the rotation and scale first. This looks fine. Gonna do the same thing here, add a loop cut, here, mark seam, and select until here, mark as seam, apply rotation and scale, U unwrap. Now I'm gonna search up plastic and add it like this. Now that's too small. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the shading and I'm gonna decrease the scale. So I'm gonna make this maybe 5 by 5, and that looks perfect. To fix the stretching going on here, just go to the advanced, key boundaries, junk case, and that's looking great. Now I want to sharpen this part up, so I'm gonna go to local view, gonna go back to solid view, and I want to sharpen this part up like this, and just do the same thing here, and also for the bottom and here. If you want to go next level with the details, you could also select these and bevel them, but I'm not going to do that. And that's going to cover it for the pen modeling. The next lesson, we're going to be doing the tablet and doing the renders.